Everything starts with a tale of a hero who, like others, destroys everything that causes suffering and seeks to heal the pain of those who need to be saved. However, every hero awaits a premature end, whether through the betrayal of someone he trusted or by falling into an enemy's trap. Once, one of these heroes was so powerful that people avoided him out of fear that he continued to save those in need at the cost of his own heart. When the world was saved on the brink of death, he prayed to the gods to grant a wish in his next reincarnation. Next, a boy named Alan wakes up with his brother screaming his name because their father is calling. This brother despises Alan for being lazy and undeserving of the comfort he has, wishing their father would be stricter with the older brother's behavior. But he believes today is the day everything will change. So Alan arrives in the throne room where his father mentions that the boy was born into the Westphalt ducal family 15 years ago, yet he never advanced past level 1. And worst of all, at the blessing ceremony held the previous day, Alan received no gift, even though every child in this world receives a gift from the gods. For this reason, Alan's father sees him as a failure who embarrasses the family name, being the heir of the Westphalt family, so he kicks his son out of the house. Outside the gates, Alan celebrates being free from such an unbearable duke after being reincarnated. Now he could follow his own path and seek the inner peace he so desired in his past life. For this, the boy wanders to the borderlands in the east of Westphalt, where he hopes for a peaceful life far from trouble, unlike his previous incarnation where people feared him. On his way to his destination, he finds a good place to rest before continuing his journey, but spots in the distance a knight named Beatrice, who is facing alone some stone dogs. She tears the beasts apart, but they quickly regenerate, leaving her companion, Lise, in danger. Beatrice asks her friend to flee, but Lise doesn't want to leave and abandon the knight alone with these beasts. Watching the scene, Alan recognizes the first princess of the kingdom of Adostella, Lise Adostella, and wonders what princess would be doing in a place like that. Then we're taken to a memory where Lise overhears the guests at a ceremony mocking Alan, the heir of the ducal house of Adostella, calling him a coward, and that Craig is surely devastated for having lost his wife and being left with his failed son. Lise rages against the men, saying Alan is a very decent boy. Faced with this memory, the boy thinks he could prevent harm from happening to the girl who defended him so much. At that moment, Beatrice takes a hard blow and falls to the ground, leaving the princess defenseless. So Alan rushes at great speed toward the danger, where Lise had already accepted death and finds it strange that all she can think of at that moment is Alan. Because of this, she calls out the boy's name before being attacked by the dogs, and at the same moment, the boy had saved the princess in time, asking her if someone happened to call his name. Lise wants to know how Alan ended up there at that moment, but the boy is busy dealing with the other beasts that are still a threat. So he charges against them and uses his divine eyes, identifying the cores that are the weak points of his enemies. Focusing on this, Alan invokes the end of the world and blossoming of 100 flowers' ability to launch several swords at the targets. With that, the threat had been defeated, but Beatrice was still in danger of losing her life. Alan recognizes Beatrice from ancient times and promises to heal her wounds and uses a technique from the parallel paradox to completely erase the warrior's wounds, even restoring her armor. Faced with so much power, Lise asks how her friend reached this level, and he tries to hide the fact that he inherited it from a past life, while Beatrice supposes it's a gift from a level that the church itself is unaware of. As the princess buys into this idea, the boy confirms that's the case, getting rid of that for now. Next, he asks why the princess is in a place like this, and she tells him she received a divine revelation a few days ago. It wasn't any precise information, but the princess's gift said she could prevent an ill omen if she paid attention to the words spoken. Through this revelation, the two were guided to Clume village on the border, but they were attacked on the way. According to Beatrice, if it weren't for Alan, the two might have been killed. Then the princess returns the question and also wants to know what Alan is doing there, but the boy prefers to talk in a carriage right behind them. Lise comments that it's broken, but Alan rebuilds the carriage using another healing light magic from the parallel paradox. Soon, with Beatrice on the horse's reins, Alan says he was expelled from the Westphalt family and also intends to go to the borders of that domain. He asks if the princess allows it, since a servant with his skills would be very useful for training. Beatrice comments that obviously he would need to be returned, considering the crown's interests, but Princess Lise decides to put her friend ahead of the kingdom, although it makes her unsuitable for royalty. As night falls, the three arrive at a village where everything is too empty and quiet, and Alan doesn't even feel the presence of monsters nearby. Beatrice points out that the team wasn't attacked after Alan joined, and the boy thinks it's because perhaps the monsters are afraid of something and are avoiding the village. However, a little further ahead, they find the villagers gathered in front of a structure from which a girl was expelled by a man. Lise recognizes this girl as the light sent to her as a sign, and her name is Akira. On the other hand, Akira has no idea who the girl speaking to her is, so the princess introduces herself, offended for not being recognized, since she showed the entire palace to the girl and even had lunch with her. Alan wants to know what this light talk is about, so Beatrice explains that it comes from a gift called Valiant, so rare that it's only given to one person in each generation, granting the power of 1,000 warriors to the bearer. In this current generation, the heroine who carries the strongest gift is Akira Kazuragi, and the revelation that Lies received was, become a guide to the light and eliminate the darkness. Soon, the group gathers to quell their hunger, and Akira reveals she was wandering aimlessly until she stumbled upon this village where a child told her she had nearly been sacrificed to the dragon residing in the mountains nearby. Thus, Akira sought details from the village chief, but he warned her not to interfere. Confronted with this, Alan speculates they allow the dragon to stay for protection, as in a small village like this, monster attacks are a matter of life or death, which would explain the abnormal absence of monsters in the region. Akira agrees with the boy's assumption and soon reveals she instructed the girl who was offered as a sacrifice to hide in a cave nearby until everything was resolved. However, now that she's had her fill and there's nothing interesting in this place, Akira decides to slay the dragon once and for all and calls on those who wish to accompany her. Alan considers the possibility that the villagers may not want to rid themselves of the dragon and that killing it could cause a conflict, but Akira promised to help the child, and that's what she's going to do. After the heroine departs, Lise and Beatrice decide to join her, and eventually Alan follows suit because he doesn't want to enjoy peace and tranquility on the frontier while his friends are in danger. Just in front of the mountain where the dragon resides, Akira gathers the group to devise a strategy. She will approach the peak via the main road, while the rest will circle around from behind to surround the creature. Alan questions whether it wouldn't be better for him to go in front instead of Akira, but the heroine refuses his request, sensing that the boy is the type to handle things on his own. Alan downplays it, saying he's being overestimated, but Akira insists that the boy is no ordinary person, leaving everyone looking at him with a question mark. Finally, Akira reveals that she intends to throw down with the boy, but only after defeating the dragon. Then she sets off ahead following her strategy and urges the rest of the people to hurry, or else she'll take down the beast alone. With everyone aware of their roles, the trio scales the mountain slopes, and Alan worries about the princess, but she assures him she knows a thing or two about self-defense. Meanwhile, Beatrice finds it curious that the Westfelds, who pride themselves on their military might, haven't discovered a dragon within their borders. In turn, Alan believes that his old family and this dragon have some kind of connection, and therefore there has been no conflict between them. He goes further, suggesting that perhaps the village of Clume was built precisely for the purpose of offering sacrifices. With this, Beatrice agrees that maintaining an agreement with the dragon would keep the border secure, but Alan believes that is only a consequence of this relationship, and that the real purpose is much worse than that. At this moment, the dragon senses Akira's presence and attacks the heroine, who retaliates by invoking the Sovereign of Lightning. She believes this will do the trick, but the dragon emerges unscathed, mocking the human and questioning if this is some kind of joke. In response to the creature's arrogance, Akira decides not to go easy in this fight. But the dragon points out that innocent people may become victims of this crossfire, turning its head toward the small girl who was offered as a sacrifice. Akira asks how the dragon found this child, and it responds that it let her escape on purpose because its intention was never to devour humans but to enjoy seeing the despair on their faces because a dragon's life is too long not to kill time with such interesting activities. Therefore, it released the offering just to see what would happen next. Faced with this insolence, Akira fills with hatred and attacks the dragon with a final blow of celestial blue lightning destruction. Convinced she has defeated the enemy, she turns around only to see the monster unharmed and further mocking the heroine's weakness. Then it strikes the girl forcefully, claiming it's ridiculous for someone so useless to call themselves a hero. Immobilized, Akira realizes there is an abyss of power between them, while the dragon fills its mouth with fire. However, as it was about to unleash the final blow, Alan appears and tears off one of its wings. Alan stands in front of Akira to protect her and taunts the dragon, mentioning the arrogance it has shown so far, so the creature angrily advances towards the humans. Alan asks Elise to take care of the heroine and for Beatrice to take the child, then he invokes an ability called Yemen Assassin's Sword, causing enormous damage to the enemy. The creature wonders how it can be injured by a mere human with a blunt blade since it is the Red Dragon King, the living being closest to a god. Alan acknowledges that this monster is on a different level, but watching the battle between him and Akira, he believes he can win with his technique of the end of the world. However, the dragon plays dirty and uses the rest of the group as helpless shields. However, Lise motivates Alan to do what must be done, and in that moment, he remembers that he lost the ability to face people since he began to be called a failure. Still, he sees that Lies awakens a strange courage within him. So he charges at the dragon, who decides to end everyone at once, but the mysterious warrior uses the light, the supreme ability of the end of the world, and as the intense glow of the weapon pierces the creature's armor, the darkness of the sky dissipates along with a red dragon king, and its scales fall from the sky like a petal shower. Shortly after, Akira awakens and embraces the child she promised to save, while Alan reflects that saving a princess and helping a hero kill a dragon wasn't the kind of peaceful life he wanted. But when Lise extends her hand to the boy, he realizes that a small detour on the path isn't harmful. Hey folks, we're kicking off the new anime season, and if you enjoyed this anime and want to see more of it, go ahead and hit that like button down below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We need your support to reach our goal of 70,000 subscribers. Every subscription counts and helps us grow our community. Catch you next time.